today we are going to see a topic in computer networks, that is types of transmission mediums. So in a data communication terminology, we will use a term called transmission medium. It's nothing as like it's a physical path between the transmitter and the receiver. And there is a channel through the data will be sent from one place to another place. That is what like a transmission medium. And it is broadly classified into following types, that is guided media and unguided media. So in this session, we are going to see only the guided media. And in the next session, we will see the unguided media also. So what is a guided media? So it is also referred as a wired or bounded transmission media. Signals being transmitted are directed and confined in a narrow pathway. So we will go it in a single directional, unidirectional. That means unidirectional means we will go in a narrow pathway. Sometimes it is unidirectional and bidirectional, but the pathway will be narrow pathway. So what is the feature of guided media? It's like we will get high speed because we are going in a narrow pathway and it is very secure, and comparatively shorter distance it will be applicable. There are major three types of guided media. Apart from that, we have two more also. So major types of three. So in that first one is twisted pair cable. So it consists of two separate insulated conductors. So there will be two pairs of wires like wound about each other. So several such pairs are bundled together in a productive sheet, and there are the most widely used transmission medium. If you take your local area network, most of the time in our places, the local area networks are configured through this twisted pair cable. It's like the cheap and it can be like productive way. And in twisted pair itself, you have two different types. That is, one is unshielded twisted pair and another one is shielded twisted pair. If you go with the shielded, unshielded twisted pair, it has the ability to block the interferences and it does not depend on the physical shield. For this purpose, it is more applicable and it is used in telephonic applications. And the advantages, it's very less expensive and it is easily to install, and it will provide high speed capacity and lower capacity and performance in comparison with the shielded twisted pair. It provides a high capacity, but when compared to the shielded twisted pair, it is lower capacity. And for the shorter distance, we can go with this unshielded twisted pair. And the next one is shielded twisted pair. So here there will be a special jacket, that is a copper bright covering or a foil shield to block the external interferences. And it will provide fast data rate in the Ethernet network. Even for the voice over channels, we will be using this shielded twisted pair when we have a faster network needed. And it will provide a better performance at higher data rate comparison with unshielded twisted pair, and it eliminates the crosstalks and it is comparatively faster with other networks. And when compared to the other things, it is difficult to install and manufacture, and it is more expensive than the unshielded, and it is somewhat bulky. That the size of cable is bulky when compared to unshielded. And the next one is coaxial cable. So it is the cable which we will be using for our cable channels like TVs and all. We will be using television networks. We will be using this coaxial cable. So it is having outer plastic covering containing the insulation layer made up of PVC, mostly PVC material or Teflon material. And it had two parallel conductors, each having a separate insulated production covers. So it transmits the information in two modes. One is baseband mode, another one is broadband mode. So in baseband mode, like dedicated cable bandwidth will be there. In broadband mode, it will split into separate ranges for each and every connection. And the advantages are it is high bandwidth and better noise immunity, and installation is easy and inexpensive. Disadvantage, single cable failure also will be disturbing the entire network. So the next one is optical fiber cable. It uses the concept of reflection of light through a core and made up of a glass or a plastic. The core is surrounded by a less dense glass or a plastic covering called the cladding. So we will do the cladding process. By using the cladding process, we will be making a layer of glass or a plastic. So it is used for transmission of large volumes of data. When we have a large volumes of data that should be transferred with a high speed and cost is not a matter, then we can go with optical fiber cables. So the cables can be unidirectional or bidirectional. And we will use a wavelength division multiplexer to support both the modes, both unidirectional and bidirectional. The advantages are it increases the capacity and bandwidth, and it is lightweight, less signal attention, and electromagnetic interferences is less, and resistance to corrosive materials. And disadvantage, it's very difficult to install and maintain, and cost wise it's very high, and it is fragile. And the next two things are stripe line and micro stripe line. These two things we are not using often. This is the base which is followed years back. So stripe line is a transverse electromagnetic transmission medium, and it was invented in 1950, and it will transmit a high frequency waves, and it is also called as a waveguide. So the conducting medium is sandwiched between two layers of ground plane, which are usually shorter to provide EMI immunity. And in microstripe line, the conducting material is separated from ground plane by a layer of dielectric. So these things are related to our guided medium. So very important three things are twisted pair, optical fiber, and coaxial cables. And these two things are like addition to that. So in the next session, we will be discussing about the unguided mediums. Thank you.